Okay, just getting an early start today. It's 10 to 8. Reason being I want to get to the supermarket before it gets too busy. Best time of the day to do the shopping, this time of year. And have the advantage later on when it gets a lot hotter, that this will be the coolest time of day to actually go out and do the shopping, I guess. Unless you do it after the sun's gone down. So that's the reason for this early start. The real estate market obviously isn't as dire as I thought here, because those properties for rent have been leased in my apartment block. So there's no boards out the front anymore. Of course, it's only going to get harder to lease out properties as the year goes by, but I guess there'll be less properties on the market then anyway. And the other news is that the stock market seems to have gone into a bit of a mini recovery. It was very nervous about interest rates going up in the US, and that looks less likely now in the short term anyway. Probably it could still happen before Christmas, but the nervousness has gone out of the market for the time being. It seems to be pretty well the normal state of affairs for the stock market to be incredibly nervous, and calmness is not its normal state. But at the moment things are reasonably benign, and the stock prices seem to be climbing, although Telstra is still really low. I don't quite know why Telstra's been punished so badly, but you know, I've just got too much of it. I can't buy any more of it. I haven't got the money anyway. I'll be getting some dividends today, which will be nice, but that won't get me enough money to buy a parcel of shares, not even a small parcel. Like I said, I need at least $2,000 just to nibble at my holdings, preferably about $5,000 minimum. And I will change my behaviour in that respect to give myself more flexibility. Yeah, it's a beautiful morning anyway. It's very nice. I've been doing a few TV show reviews, which seem to be fairly popular on YouTube. It's trying to work out what people like watching on YouTube is very difficult. But what I've discovered is that when I do film reviews, I get very, very little response. It seems to be basically flooded that part of the market. But if you're looking at new TV show reviews, that's where I get more hits. And I'm quite happy to do that. It's not a hard process, because I don't even bother doing a video like this. I just use voiceover on the computer using the editor, and take stills and some live footage from the shows to give a visual presentation with my critique. Hasn't been very, very promising so far this year. Last year, or at least 6 months ago when I last did this, there's some good shows coming through, and I gave a couple of positive reviews, and both of those shows appear to have survived. So that's pretty good. One of them definitely survived. That's a show called Lucifer. That's into its second series and looking good. Fantastic casting. It's such an important part of the process, the creative process, to cast your project well. And speaking of that, at the danger of actually treading on my own toes here and talking about something I'm going to review separately, there's a new show called Lethal Weapon from Fox, and Fox, you know, generally a fairly astute production house, but in this case I think there might be some major miscasting taking place. And the idea of actually basing a TV series around a successful film franchise, not sure if I'm happy about that. Are we that bereft of new ideas? Well, like there's a sitcom from Kevin James that would actually answer that in the affirmative. I think that's with CBS Network, and that seems same old, like a poor man's King of Queens, so why do it? Yeah, just cut the video then because some guy was waiting outside of Office Works. So probably thought I was a total dork talking to my GoPro. I figure I may as well do this. I mean, it's just dead time otherwise, just walking down the street. It's fairly quiet, it's a perfect time to do it. And probably makes the videos seem a bit more interesting, I guess, if you sort of got a bit of scenery in the background, although I'm taking the same pathway, so things will get a little more exciting when I get to Vietnam. And of course I'll be having a full day in Bali, so that'll be pretty full on. I'll try to find a few beaches there. It seems to be really popular with the viewers, and I'll check out. I'll get a hire a driver, so it'll be interesting. I'll have transportation for the whole time I'm there, which will be a full day. Getting in the morning and not staying overnight. Getting in early morning, and then I'm going to be flying out about 11 at night. So I'll be able to book a driver with transport for the whole day. It cost me about $50, I reckon, maybe even less, but something like that. And he'll be a tour guide and driver combined, which I think is a pretty damn good deal, because especially considering I'm not paying for accommodation. So that'll be a great way of getting a feel for the place. I mean, I know that the Kuta area and Bali, that part of Bali, is probably not what I'd be looking for anyway. So it's a little disappointing that I couldn't spend a few nights over there, but it's just the way the airfares worked out. I was basically squeezed both ends, and the primary purpose of this trip is to go back to Saigon. However, I'm not just going to go to Saigon. I'm going to explore some beaches near there, and there's a few day trips I can do, and I'll squeeze them in as well, because I mean I've got an apartment there for 3 weeks I should say, and so my overall expenses aren't too bad, and not as extravagant as my previous trips. So I wouldn't mind doing a few day trips from Saigon and just checking out the area. We'll see how feasible that is. Should be okay. There's actually a ferry I can take to one of the beaches, so that'll be good to go along the water getting there. Looking forward to that. And as far as getting to other parts, day trips will be probably by minibus, I would imagine, but I'll do all the research as time gets closer. Trying to actually also bone up on my Vietnamese. There's quite a few videos around. I had a Vietnamese language program, audio program. I can't find it. It's probably back in Melbourne. It's a bit annoying, although it wasn't really that good. I find some of the short videos are better. Just some of the conversational Vietnamese stuff in small lumps. I'm not going to learn a stack of the language, but I wouldn't mind learning a few basic phrases, especially how to order some food and what have you. So I'm trying to get to grips with that, and learning to count, which is not that difficult. The accounting system's reasonably logical and easy to do. I'm feeling a little more confident about the language, although there is still tonal, so that's always a hassle. But yeah, it's not. I'm going to give it more of a go this time. Hopefully things will be okay. Well, I'm just arriving at the entranceway to the mall, and people are already waiting to get in. So Friday morning, I guess it's fairly busy. So when those sliding doors open, I can go in and start doing my shopping. There we go. Perfect time. This is the biggest crowd usually walking into the supermarket I've seen. It's funny, I walk in here and you can bump into shoppers coming from the other direction, so I don't know how they get here before 8 o'clock when the main doors open. There must be other entrances up here. This is the Travelator, which takes you up to the shops upstairs, including the supermarket. I've done this trip a few times. Interesting thing about Cairns is a much smaller place, much more casual. In Melbourne, I always stand on the left-hand side to let people who want to go through on the right express, but they don't do that here. They don't bother, so it's a bit different. It's quaint. Yeah, I thought there was some cheap greens there, but incorrectly labelled, so typical supermarkets. You get that sort of stuff happening. So when I checked it, it wasn't for greens, it was for carrots. This price, I just left it on there. I didn't care about the fact that it might be deceiving customers. Why would they bother? Anyway, got to say though, I had an amazing experience with one of the pre-packaged Capricosa pizzas the other day from Coles. I bought another one earlier in the week, heated up, and it was sensational. It was great hot and cold. It was just the best I've had. I really believe that the oven I had in my place in Melbourne wasn't up to scratch, even though it was a bank, supposed to be a good make. I don't think it was providing the heat it's supposed to, because I'm getting much better results from this El Cheapo oven at this place in Parramatta Park in Queensland. So yeah, so that was amazing. I really didn't expect the pizza to be that good, and even the base was almost crispy, so it was great. So I just got all my shopping done, and it was remarkably busy today for 8 o'clock in the morning. It only gets worse as the day goes on, and I even had to wait behind someone at the checkout. So, and I just got there at the beginning of the day, so it's dog eat dog up here. They probably need to expand this Coles, because the demand is definitely there. So but as I say, it's good to get it done early in the morning, get the shopping out of the way, and I can take it at my leisure later in the day. They've got snow peas on special at Woolworths apparently, so I might pop down to the pub later on. Still a bit iffy about it after you might realise after my last rave I had walking around here, that got to look for something different here. Mind you, I kept myself pretty occupied on my lonesome in my flat with all the YouTube stuff I've had to do, because it's September and all the new TV programs are starting in America. I want to get all my reviews out of the way before they get a bit stale, pretty well straight out of the oven as it were. So I wanted to have my reviews there when people are basically watching the shows first time. This is probably the best time to do it. So I got a few hits on the first one I put on, which was the Ted Danson and Kristen Bell sitcom. Hour long. Very strange for a sitcom to be an hour long. Called The Good Place, based in heaven, which is a dangerous concept, because if all the inhabitants are supposed to be perfect, how do you portray characters that are perfect? That's going to be its greatest challenge. Things could just go off the rails, I guess. That's always a plot line they can have. It's a fantasy after all, so they can do whatever they like. And I think the people behind it have enough nous to probably spin it the right way. But the only really original show that I've seen so far is one where all of the senior members of cabinet in the presidential regime are bumped off by terrorists at once, and there's a contingency where they leave one person, like a more junior member in cabinet, in a secured location, just in case this sort of occurs. So basically they can't lose all of the cabinet all at once. They've at least got one member there who can take on the mantle of president if the worst happens, and of course the worst does happen in this particular scenario. So it's a very good starting point for a drama. Whether the show will be able to sustain its freshness, I doubt, because it's a concept that they've set it up that there's going to be a lot of fights against terrorists, and it'd be interesting to see how the TV production companies handle that, because they've got a pretty small liberal view of things, and I think they actually named Iran in this one, which was interesting, as the antagonist or potential antagonist. They weren't verified, But even doing that is fairly ballsy by their standards. They wouldn't normally even name anyone. I just hope it actually also looks at the themes such as the cynicism towards democracy these days. If it does that thing, I hope it doesn't just morph into another West Wing, because that would be, you know, it's been done. We don't need another one of those, surely. Anyway, just got to pass the Rubicon, which is Florence Street. Quite a busy road. No problem. It is Cairns after all, even though it's morning peak. It's not like big city peak. Oh, there's a few cars coming here, as you can see. I'm not going to be as where that guy's pretty ballsy. I'm not going to bother. Yeah, I think I'll wait for a cross. I'm a blind man after all, so I don't want to take the chances. There's a lot of traffic. It comes in waves. One of the other annoying things about here is some of these drivers are incredibly slow, so even when you know, most of the traffic's gone past you, you'll get laggards who'll just limp along behind them and make it almost impossible for you to cross the road, because then the next lot of group of traffic catches up to them. So that can be a bit annoying, but overall it's a pretty positive experience being up here.